And we're off. Everyone headed to Sanctuary, everyone finding a compass, everyone starting off a little disappointed.
Yep. Now, an all sank start does mean we might see some runners opt to go Houlihan first, which it would appear both Math Girl and Wolfie on the right are going to do.
Yep. Meanwhile, fantallis and Vulajin heading straight to Kakariko. Going for the Houlihan strat is a little bit of a time risk, but it does ensure that you have enough money to handle a bottle vendor and purchasing bombs straight away.
Yeah, in open, you don't see Houlihan as frequently because you'll typically have the money for whatever you need by the time you get there. In Keysanity, because of the fact that the keys and all the other dungeon items are scattered as well, there are instances where you'll have a lot less rupee drops, and this is just a nice fail-safe to make sure you can get your bombs.
Unfortunately, the pull tree was bombed, so both fantallis and Vulajin have their stock in hand.
Yeah, this is sadly true.
But Wolfie's got a sword in hand out of Link's house.
I would say that's a nice little consolation prize. Not to mention it's Zora money as well that they'll be able to make use of. Looks like just a big 20 in the Thief's Hut.
Yep, Math Girl taking her sword, heading straight to rescue.
And she's taking the route I've typically taken, which is do Houlihan, go check Uncle, and then figure it out from there. Wolfie checking race game on his way over to Kakariko.
Yeah, Kakariko's a very obvious early destination, very high item density, and very accessible. You don't really need much of anything to do it.
Yeah, all runners will go Kakariko pretty much at the beginning of any given seed because of the fact that Kakariko itself has about like 13 items in it that you can access at pretty much any time.
Looks like there's a key in the library.
Whether or not we'll need that key is up in the air. There are some small keys that are more important than others.
And there's the bow!
Back at the tavern.
Yep,
Bartender's a sharpshooter, apparently.
So Wolfie's southern route is paying off in spades. While the denser Blind Hut and Well are not being very kind to fantallis or Vulajin yet.
No.
Was that Silver's in the chicken coop?
That was indeed Silver's in the chicken coop.
So we are 323 in, and Wolfie has bow and Silver's, and a sword.
Also, that was the small key to desert in the well.
So yeah, this is starting off kind to our runners.
Well, it basically confirms that there will not be silverless runs today. Bottle vendor equals bomb vendor.
You know, keep a variety of his market. You know, sell some bottles, sell some bombs, maybe get into a clothing line later. Gotta diversify.
Yeah, whatever sells.
And we are going to largely see our runners track around the same terrain at the moment. Everyone clearing out Kakariko, getting their armaments.
Yeah, a lot of the early game is everybody doing the same checks. Typically after Kakariko, South Shore ends up getting visited, or Eastern Palace, depending on where you'd rather go first. Some will even opt to check the front of Escape.
Yep, those usually come down to item density and what kind of weapons you have. It's pretty tricky to go and do rescue when you don't have any reliable weapon, because you do have to make a few kills.
Yeah. So Fantallis appears to be going up towards escape.
You might see more of the rescue than what Math Girl did. She just visited Uncle and went on her way.
Yep, she opted not to go down into the escape quite yet. If you have a weapon like the sword, it's typically in your better interest to do it while you're there, but at the same time, they'll have to leave the dark sewer chest behind.
Yeah, and it can take a fair bit of time for not as many items. So if you're looking to maximize your grabs, maybe you want to go somewhere else first.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of playing Keysanity well, is knowing what the dense spots are, what you can get the most out of for your time, and having a sense of when the seed is trying to trick you a little bit, because it does do that.
So the inside of the dam did not have much, but there was a bug net in the water. Vulajin opting to not pick it up.
Yeah, it's a little bit of swag, but when you got silvers, you're kind of not so interested in swag. You're interested in a solid kill.
Yeah, and without any bottles, there's no need to grab it for safety fairies either. Speak of the devil.
Vulajin tried to put those silvers.
Trying to shoot them with arrows. Oh, that's the moon pearl that was just found in escape.
So, escape kind of useful. Kind of useful right now.
Vulajin finds in Mini Moldorm Cave the big key to Turok, an Ice Palace small key, a heart container, another heart container that is Sank Heart, and 20 rupees.
So he's going to be nice and durable, unlock a little bit of stuff. Not progression yet, but if he heads over to escape, that'll do it.
Fantallis' last reward for escape is a bloomerang, and he decides to go back to the house after that. So Wolfie's gonna be right behind him with the Moon Pearl grab.
Oh, Math Girl finally finds the sword. Didn't realize that she hadn't grabbed it yet.
Yeah, I think when she finished Houlihan, she went straight to the castle, didn't bother popping into Link's house yet.
Well, as we've learned, she is going to have to head back to the castle. Runners kind of want that Moon Pearl.
Wolfie doing a death warp. Means he probably intends to dark room navigate his way to the sewer chest. Looks like every runner is making the correct play going to escape, though.
Yeah, now this dark room that Wolfie is doing is not necessarily the toughest in the game, but it is up there. It's a bit challenging to try to navigate around all these enemies blind.
Yeah, the rats are very fast, and they will make getting through the room a little difficult. And this room that he just went into has a bunch of rope in it. I believe that's the name of the snakes. So those are going to get in his way.
Snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes?
Well, Wolfie now needs to find the chest in this room, which it's on the right, not too hard to find. You can typically find it just by moving up and down. Compass to GT. Okay, so with what we have here, I guess the next play is pretty much Eastern or Desert. Just a quick Desert check. You can't even do much there.
Yeah, that's basically just Agna and checking the ledge. Eastern is probably the more valuable play. Or if you feel like you're getting desperate, you head over to Ice Rod.
Yeah, I think fantallis is going to do Ice Rod, and because of the possession of Moon Pearl, he may do a quick Fake Flipper route. He won't be able to pay Zora, though.
That is true. The fake flipper, for those who haven't seen it, you position yourself just right to jump into water as you attempt to screen transition. The game thinks that you have flippers and that you're swimming just fine. And with a little bit of care, you can use this to sequence break. The game logic never requires you to do this, but it can work out to your advantage.
So it looks like we are going to get that Eastern Palace play now.
Vulajin appears to be doing Sanctuary Escape backwards, making his way, I guess, to Escapement.
No, he's going for that dark sewer chest as well.
I must have misseen the room.
Because we can't go backwards without A, a key, or B, the gloves. That is Green Pendant in Thieves Town that has just been seen as a word from our Sahasrara check. Along with the Hyrule Castle small key, the gloves, and a heart piece.
So that's 2 of 3 pieces necessary to get to the Dark World.
That's also all fantallis needs to check the back of Escape. So it looks like Math Girl is going to come back to Escape now. I'm going to grab some more tree pole bombs before going in.
Yep, Vulajin heading on over to Eastern as well. Fantallis making the dip in. Might see another bit of Dark Room up there going through Eastern. That's possibly the easiest one to sort out.
Yeah, Eastern Palace's dark rooms are not that bad, and that's probably just because it's the first dungeon of the game in a normal playthrough of the game. So at this point, I would expect pretty much all of our runners to converge on Eastern until we figure out what the next major progression is.
Well, now Wulfy looks like they're going for a fake flip.
Now, this will be interesting to see what's there, and if he gets a chance to peek at what's on the island too, we'll know if we need to worry about mirror and flippers this seed. Eastern so far not given much. The last chest on sequence in Eastern is the one that fantallis has left to check. There's also the one past the dark rooms that he will probably also go check.
Yep, but again, fake flippers, dark rooms, these are sequence breaks. The logic does not require you to do them.
Yeah, so runners do have to be careful sometimes remembering where they got these items to not follow sequence down the wrong breadcrumb trail. Well, there's the lamp, so now that last chest is on sequence.
Yeah, no dark rooms for Fantallis anymore.
I don't believe he even did the first dark room, so now he can actually check that chest just normally if he wants. So Hobo had a 10 arrow expansion. Wolfie now gotta go check Waterfall Cave after baiting Zora. No, if you're in Fake Flipper and get hit and you're not on the same screen where you transitioned into the water, you will die instantly to prevent soft lock. Now, neither of those items he found in there were technically all that interesting. The key could be potentially helpful later. And he actually does have enough money for Zora.
Yeah, nothing's very interesting on the Zora ledge.
Ooh, those are boots.
Wolf, you might want to go to Eastern. I'm just gonna say, Wolf, you might want to go to Eastern soon. Math Girl, headed towards Eastern. Might want to stay on that route. That looks
I
to be
think-
a good dungeon.
Yeah, it looks to be a good thing to do. So they can go get that key they saw, they can check Bonk Rocks. But that still means we still have to find another major progression item here in Bonk Rocks.
And from the looks of it, Quakefish has taken over for Zora this evening, as Wolfie picks up that medallion.
Well, it means it wasn't a total ripoff. We might actually need that medallion. Though, Bonk Rocks gave us our first ball, which means now we gotta go to Sick Kid. We're basically being led on a very small, fetch questy kind of check trail.
Didn't really pay off, though.
No, it does not appear to have. I guess there's still back of escape to check. But Fantallis wants that key. That is the big key to Eastern. Well, that's a bit frustrating. That was a forced double dip into Eastern.
Although if you're gonna double dip, Eastern is not a bad one to have to do it. And Fantallis can now full clear that.
Yes. But it looks like back of escape will be happening first. Everyone else, though, hot on the Eastern Palace lead. So what have we here?
Big key to desert, and the second sword.
Well, the big key to desert means that desert can't be cleared in its entirety once they get access to the entrance. But that Master Sword means there's probably an item up in Agate Tower. And they're just gonna have, they may just have to walk in and check it. We're not getting too much means to like stretch our reach here in terms of item locations.
Now, you do make a good point. There could be an item in Agate Tower. Depending on where we see the keys, we might be seeing more of Agate Tower than just that first chest.
Yeah, though thankfully the item in the Lumberjack Cave was just a piece of heart. So if Aga is to be killed, it is solely to get to Dark World or to access the right side. So Fantallis is just gonna go kill the Armos Knights. I mean, why wouldn't you? You have silver arrows. You've already done most of the dungeon. You may as well just finish it.
Yep, and take the, I guess it would be 7 in 9 chance that it's a crystal. That's pretty good odds.
Yeah, because we do know that where one pendant is. So Vulajin's not gonna have to decide whether. Yeah, I think he's gonna basically do the same thing. He's gonna check the back of escape first and then go from there. Everybody else just trailing very slightly behind.
Chad already throwing out ideas for how the sea could be especially cruel in regards to Aga. I like some of those ideas. I've seen one or two of those in my time.
Yeah. They do need both the keys in order for us to actually, you know, get through the tower, though. So unless those come up rather fast, it's kind of a far-flung hope at the moment. Well, the big chest in Eastern Palace was just 5 rupees, so Armos or Agina or Castle Tower, I think, are our options.
I was gonna say or Old Man, but he's just got some arrows.
Oh yes, Death Mountain is currently on sequence.
as are those obnoxious little boulders that Vulajin has to do a little dance around.
Yeah. So there is one other item up here too, then inside Spectacle Rock as well.
But nothing interesting at Spec.
Nope, just the compass. At least he has this starting point for save and quits set up now for when he does get the access to check more of the mountain.
Yeah, until our runners get Flute, that is actually pretty valuable to have lying around. And there's a
the
mirror.
I think Vulajin was a little trigger happy on the Death Mountain check I get at this for this particular seed. Because I think that just opens up the first two items in Hera, actually. So we still don't have much.
No, we do not. But it is progression, little by little.
Yep, little by little, piece by piece. Vulajin, meanwhile, is going to do the elimination of the Armos Knights. And Wulfy, I guess he went to check the key first.
Yep, now he's getting his bottle. We'll see. He does have the equipment to go up Death Mountain, so it looks like that's where he's gonna head first.
Yep, that is the call he is making.
Or at least check Lumberjack, I guess.
Yeah, he's
they
gonna
didn't
check
make
Lumberjack. I guess he hasn't gone here yet. Yeah, I think when he did his opening route, he took the southern route to Kakariko and stopped after checking the woods items. Fantallis gonna get his old man escort prize.
Yep, thank you for rescuing me. Here's some weapons.
I mean, there's silver arrows, so...
Yep, they are good armaments. Just, a hammer would be nice.
What these runners would give for a tiny mallet that gets them so much access to everything.
And Vulajin going to take care of the Armos Knights.
They will be executed in swift fashion. And we are getting our Hera check. It looks like Math Girl also ventured up to Death Mountain, so it looks like Fantallis is the only one who was patient on that and gets rewarded with that hammer he was looking for so desperately.
So I do believe the Aga Dream is well and truly dead.
Very much so now. Conveniently, this also lets Fantallis check the right side of Death Mountain now.
Yeah, Fantallis following the breadcrumbs in pretty much the perfect fashion for this seed. And the seed is being pretty linear.
He's been routing it the way the seed wanted him to route it. And that can't be a good thing. There is a mail upgrade on that lonely island up there. Depending on whether or not we find the other one, we'll see if the runner opts to grab that later.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on if that ends up being blue tunic or red tunic by the time they get to it. Blue one...
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Vulajin, meanwhile, is hot on Fantallis' heels, has gone straight up to Hera himself. Now we have Paradox Cave. This confusingly placed cave has 7 items in it that could very well be very nice to have. Although I think currently that just brings us up to, is that 10 hearts or 9?
That looks like 10. That's a
gotten
full row very fast.
we have gotten most of the normal heart containers already.
And the big key to GT.
And the big key to Hera. Wish you had that a moment ago. So that was also a double dip Hera. For sure. And the most important small key. That Swamp Palace key is very important if it happens to be a dungeon that needs to be cleared.
Yep, and if the second half of Hera Basement ends up being required, that would be a triple dip. But again, Hera, not one of the worst dungeons to have to do that with.
No, definitely not.
And Wulfy making their way up through Eastern, going to take care of the Armos Knights in just a moment. Math Girl on the tail, about to do the same.
You know, the left side currently is focused on getting through Death Mountain. The right side is currently kill the Armos Knights, hope they have something on them. But now Vulajin and fantallis are going to be hoping that Moldorm and the upper sections of Hera have something for them. And hopefully not a pendant as well.
You know, it's still 3/4 odds for them right now. So still good chance of a crystal, but not a guarantee. We don't know yet. And yes, at this point, it may look pretty solidly like fantallis and Vulajin are in the lead on their respective races. And that may be the case for right now, but with so much still left to be found, so many routes they may have to take, one false step can turn things around for anyone. We're still very early into this race.
Now, Vulajin did not hit the color switch on the way up, so I believe the pots that he could access for Hearts before Trolldorm are sealed. And he's at 4 hearts currently, so that might be a problem, but he should be okay.
Yeah, it just depends on how trolly Moldorm wants to be. But that is a question that is entirely in Moldorm's control. You don't get to decide how trolly he is. He just does it.
No, you definitely do not. Going for hammer strats. 3 smacks of the mallet will kill him. Very nicely done. An alternative he could have done was 3 spin attacks with the Master Sword. Really, whichever the one you prefer is kind of up to your decision. Unfortunately, that is a blue pendant on Moldorm.
And a Hera small key. So you saw that fantallis got the key. There was no pop-up saying where the key is for. When that happens, it's for the dungeon that you're currently in.
So Hera's saying, hey, come back in, I got one more thing for you. At least they didn't have to go out of their way to find the key.
Very true.
I guess the only plus side fantallis has right now is this is just about time for the regularly scheduled break of the run. This tile room.
Yep, you run around for about 30 minutes. Time to take a little breather, assess your situation.
One thing that's probably in his mind is where to check in Dark World, since that's now an option. Vulajin almost getting knocked into the bad hole. That would have been very bad.
fantallis had a little bit of bad, positioning himself on those raising and lowering platforms to iframe through the entire tile room, and then he got himself stuck.
Must have got himself placed on the corner.
Yep, just a little too far on the corner.
Yeah, that can be problematic. This time he's in a much safer position.
Yes, at this point, everyone has taken care of the Armos Knights. Wulfy well up towards Tower of Hera.
I do believe Math Girl, though, is thinking a different check than Death Mountain right now, though. Appears to be heading towards either the sewer chest or Aghanim. Now going towards the castle tower. And that is the pod big key in the basement of Hera. So we found a fair few big keys already.
Yeah, Math Girl checking the first Aga chest. Interesting. Could be paying off for her.
Yeah, it won't be a long check. These guards are susceptible to silver arrows. Fantallis appears to be checking what we still call and will probably formerly be known as Hype Cave, because this cave does not always have hype in it anymore.
No, I've come to like calling it Dagobah, because it's over in the swamp.
Suppose that works. The initial item is a piece of heart. Big 20. Big 20. Small key to the castle tower. And small key to Skullwoods. Now, I missed what Math Girl found in that chest.
Mushroom.
Well, that's not complete waste. And it looks like she is going to go check that escape chest, too.
Chad asking, would that make the NPC Yoda? He's got the ears for it. And Vulajin gonna go ask the bomb vendor where the red crystals are. There's Skullwoods and Pod.
That's very important to know. So there's still one pendant hiding out there they'll have to find, but we will know everywhere else that we need to go after that. Now, did I miss something, or does Fantallis have flippers? Because he appears to be going into Swamp.
Fantallis missed something.
Yeah, you can't... As much as that small key makes you think, I want to go do Swamp Palace, you're missing a very key component of going through the palace. It is very web-foot shaped.
I was gonna say, they have the key. They have the key components.
Yeah, they do have the key components, but not the item requirements. In the South Dark World checked by most of the runners now.
Yeah, so far Stumpy and Cave 45 not paying out too well.
Nope. Troll Dorm down for Wulfy, and I think Math Girl's heading towards Ice Rod Cave. Or Fake Flipper, one of the two. So we're going to Digging game next on Vulajin, and Fantallis will probably be right behind him on that check.
Yeah, this can be a good way to farm a couple rupees if you feel that you need them. And if you feel it's worth the time.
Just a piece of heart, though. And Vulajin realizes that there's really not that much more checks he can do currently on the side of the Dark World he's on, so he's going to say quit and get to the other side. Looks like Wulfy's just gonna sit there and take the tiles. I haven't actually seen this method before.
And Math Girl took a death. I didn't see what happened, but knowing that she was fake flippering and how dangerous that is, I fear that's what happened.
Yeah, that might be what happened. Both our left side runners going to check either Skull and or Tower, Thieves Town next. Skullwoods, particularly in the recent versions of the randomizer, is typically containing some kind of progression item in it, just due to the fact that you really don't need anything to enter Skullwoods.
Very true. You do need the fire rod to complete Skullwoods, but getting in to the front part's not a big deal. And Skullwoods is one of 2 dungeons where the big key is actually not required. So we may see that big key, but our runners don't actually need it.
We do know where that big key is, though, because Wolfie fake flippered to it.
Very true.
Turok's small key to start off Skull. Vulajin opted to go towards the Thief Town instead. Neither runner finding much of anything in their current areas. There's another big key. The one to Thieves.
So fantallis making the right sequence on that one.
Yep, once again, fantallis finding the correct sequence that the seed intended him to do. Vulajin, meanwhile, will enter Thieves Town just to see what's in the front. The 4 chests in here are typically worth checking even if you don't have the big key. There's the flippers.
Yeah, they are worth checking. Absolutely.
So now Swamp is on the table. And I entirely missed what fantallis found in the back of the of that particular room.
Nothing super important, unfortunately.
Yeah. Looks like those flippers were the only thing in the dungeon, though. And Vulajin gonna take a death warp out. Something I should note, too, is fantallis walked out of that back room. He had the mirror. He could have just mirrored out and left. Umber Cave has a compass, and it looks like he will also be checking Lumberjack Cave real quick. And I think Vulajin is going to book it straight to Swamp. Although we still are missing the hook shot.
Yeah, so that does close off a good number of chests, plus completing the dungeon itself. But the front portion does still offer a few options.
Yeah, without hookshot, you can get 6 chests in the dungeon, but that's if you have the big key. And Swamp's another dungeon you don't need the big key for, so currently Vulajin would only be able to check 5 of those.
Vulajin, however, heading...
Flipper check.
toward-
He's checking Hobo here, yeah.
Ah, yes.
That small island mirror spot there is not a very commonly used one, but it is a nice way to check Hobo if you haven't done anything Flipper related yet.
Admittedly, I paused for a moment, like, wait, what is he actually doing there? Then it's like, I haven't seen that one maybe ever.
fantallis decides to check Graveyard Ledge before heading towards Thieves. It does not have anything of note for this particular seed. And he's going to go check the King's Tomb as well, since he has the mirror to do that. Wolfie's now gone to Aga Tower. Finds the mushroom. He's going to see what the other item was. And that was a small key to Ganon's tower on the island.
Yeah, not super valuable. It does help when going into Ganon's tower to have one small key. Saves you from having to deal with anything in the basement. But you only really need the big one.
Looks like a Fisher Price shield was our other item for Castle Tower. Smart on Wolfie to check that while he was doing a pyramid check. Saves him a bit of pesky round he would have otherwise had to do. And it looks like he's going to go up and check Catfish 2. We're also finally getting a Gina.
Just some money, though.
Now, I think I may have not been paying attention here. Did Vulajin also go over to Catfish?
I did not notice.
Because he routed the entire way over here. He might have done that. And it would appear the mushroom was just a heart container, but that's more health that these runners have at their disposal. So, high health seed, not a very big defense seed so far.
Vulajin going and farming a bunch of rupees off the Zora. Looks like if you stun them with the Bloomerang and then kill them, they consistently drop 5, so just takes a little time.
Just enough for him. So fantallis is not going to go clear out all but the big chest in Thieves' Town because he lacks the small key to check it. And Catfish was Titan's Mitts, actually.
Titan's Mitt. Vulajin definitely did not check that then.
We will know for sure when he pauses, but yeah, if he can't lift the big rocks, then yeah, he did not check that. Catfish is one of the more annoying locations in the game to check as well. So that kind of lift advantage is pretty big for Wulfy. His thorough-mindedness has paid off decently thus far.
Yeah, and if it turns out that Quake is required, be it for Mire or Turtle Rock, then that whole little chunk of the map that runners tend to hate was essential twice over.
Yeah. Math Girl finally getting her hammer out of Hera. And it looks like Wulfy's going to opt check the more annoying checks first over here. The ones that are kind of out of the way to do on a normal pass.
And chat pointing out how Vulajin wound up in Zora without checking Catfish. It was a warp through Lake Hylia, so
He flipped
that makes
it to
perfect
that
sense.
warp. Alright. So yeah, Vulajin will have to go back and get that at some point.
It's a perfectly sensible route that he took, just on this seed, left him in this situation.
Yeah. Had he gotten the mushroom from the castle tower like our other two runners on the right had, maybe he would have considered checking Catfish, just because he would go on the way to check the mushroom. Now he's going to be searching for those golden gloves, and they're going to be very annoyingly placed.
Yep, and this was what I was saying about actually 20 minutes or so ago, where our left side runners seem to be in a solid lead, but Wulfy is going to make up a lot of time and possibly surpass Vulajin pretty soon.
Yeah, Wulfy has a chance of kind of closing. He's not behind by much. Let's make that clear. He's kept up pretty decently with Vulajin. But having those mitts is going to give him a little bit of an advantage. Math Girl going to clean out all of the items on Paradox now. And a shovel in Blind Cell.
Well, well, well.
Math Girl gets her Swamp Palace small key and her Hera and GT big keys.
Well, Blind, what do you have to say for yourself? A weeknight is a tiny nobleman. Words of wisdom.
With Blind.
Fantallis, though less appreciative of puns, going to chop Blind's head off.
Blind is a fight that goes fairly scripted every time if you know what you're doing and follow basically the very small little guidelines that he wants. That was our third pendant. Oh, no, that was our
that-
second pendant. We knew this was green pendant. My mistake. Now, did Wolfie check Skull before coming into Thieves Town?
I don't believe so.
Based on his tracker, it would appear not. So he will probably be checking that after this. Or he'll be doing the
And-
rest of the loop. One of the two.
Looks like he might go up after doing the chess game. We'll see.
Another interesting thing, though, is Wolfie can check the Smiths and the Hammerpeg Cave. So he might prioritize those.
That is true. We haven't seen those yet. We do see a pod key in the dig spot.
Yeah, those all-important pod keys. If you want to clear out pod, you need at least 4 if you know hammer jump. 5 if you were willing to skip the door in the front.
Yep, although all of our runners having hammer and bow means that it is pretty reliable to get around that front door. So they'll only need 5 in all likelihood.
Vulajin making quick pace over to those Titans mitts that were on the catfish. So that kind of evens them out again. Alright, what is our hammer pegs reward? Big 20. So we have a lot of retreaded ground here with the exception of Wolfie giving us a little peek at something new.
Ooh,
Which would be that the Smiths have, I believe that was the fire rod.
that was the fire rod.
So now he can actually go into Skull and clear it. But he's gonna check the chest first. Which, I think at this point, why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Math Girl downs Troll Dorm and gets her blue pendant. And Vulajin checking the tower.
I'm getting that mushroom.
And fantallis will round out the checks on Zora for everybody, so all runners will have Quake.
Yep, but fantallis not checking Quakefish yet, so doesn't quite have those mitts.
No, he does not. But we'll see what our pal Gary here has for us. Another heart container. I swear we found all those at this point.
I believe they did.
And I think Wolfie... No, I guess he's not going to Swamp. I guess he's just going to get the island key quickly while he's in the area.
Could do that and could dip into ice. Having that fire rod means a fire source. He can get through all of those frozen zombies and get down to Cold Stare.
That is true. I didn't consider that. He will have to make sure his route does not take him through the one room where he would require a hook shot, though. Which, he does have the spare key. He could technically do that. But he decides that Ice Palace is not a good decision currently.
Yeah, getting through Ice Palace without the big key would require a bomb jump. Not the hardest one, but you still have to pull it off. And it also technically means that Ice Palace is out of sequence. The game will not require you to do any hammer jumps, or any bomb jumps, or any jumps at all.
He probably also does not appreciate the thought of having to fight Cold Stare after downing his entire tank of magic to get rid of his ice. If he had a Tempered Sword, it'd be a bit of an easier consideration, but on Master Sword, Cold Stare can take a while to kill. And on Green Mail, he'll also hit for a lot of damage.
Very true. It will be a very tricky fight. Don't know that anyone wants to take that sort of thing on, but a seed can force some hard battles.
That it can. Sometimes a low health moth is forced, for instance. So Wolfie now gets his big key, and can also check the big chest here, because he found that big key before anybody else did. Map to Ice Palace.
So we might soon see if anyone has any reason to do it.
Yeah, it could be very important information to know whether or not the cold stare even has to be mentioned at all for the remainder of this stream. One of our trackers is asking, I don't think anyone did a map check yet because none of the runners have bothered. They don't think they have enough maps to warrant a map check.
Yeah, I do think I saw a brief map check at one point, but the only one that it brought up was Skullwoods, and we already knew that was a red crystal.
Yeah, so we don't have a ton of leads on crystals currently.
Though it looks like fantallis is going to give us a little lead on what's in pod.
With only one key, there's not a ton he can look at. But he does have the big key as well. So this in its own kind of way is a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, it is technically possible for fantallis right now to go fight Helmasaur, if I'm remembering correctly.
At the moment, though, that would be highly ill-advised. But he did find the big key to Swamp. And Wolfie, in the back half of Skull, finds a compass to Swamp Palace.
Meanwhile, Vulajin is in Swamp Palace.
In Swamp Palace.
We just need Math Girl to somehow find the map to Swamp Palace. And that dungeon will finish taking all of our attention.
Yes, it will. I don't think Vulajin found too much currently in Swamp. Fantallis has a few more items. He's going to be able to get the ledge item here, and with his key, he'll be able to route to the back of the dungeon. This will give him access to, in the back area, 3 items. If he hammer jumps 3 more, and then there's 2 towards the front he can also grab, though it would be semi-inefficient to route in because of the fact that he can't open the front door. Wolfie getting beat around a bit by Moth. He's out of magic and has only 3 hearts left.
Does he still have that blue potion, though? Doesn't matter for now.
In this instance, it will not matter. Map to
Swamp Palace. We get it, Swamp Palace. You're interesting. Hi.
No,
Vulajin
don't
is
have
you
a
right
hook
now.
shot yet. I'm sorry.
Of course, no hookshot means Vulajin can't take that little shortcut. Also means he can't accidentally flood the keys, so good news, bad news.
That's an ice rod. Over in pod. So that's at least a nice little find for Fantallis. Along with the map to Desert. We got a lot of items for Desert already, but we can clear that out as soon as we get access. So knowing what that is actually pretty important. Alright, looks like Fantallis is going to bomb jump. And Wolfie's... I guess he's going to ice. I'm surprised he didn't go straight to Thieves. I guess he's trying to not finish the Green Pendant dungeon currently, unless he has to. Hammer jump successful, though that is a very, very poor prize to start with.
Yeah, for how difficult that jump is, you expect a little more out of it.
The second prize isn't even helping.
Although, let's be fair, it is a bigger prize than the first.
Yep. Map to Hera, we've already cleared it. That hammer jump was completely unneeded, sadly, and he's gonna actually opt to not get the remaining chest in there. And he now also realizes that the maps don't do much for him either. Yeah, Vulajin also can't shortcut to the right chest in this left side, so he's gonna have to do the climb twice as well. Wulfy getting the first item in ice. Another full heart container.
Okay, now I think we're done with them.
Yeah, please. I think that's every single normal, just full max heart container in the game. All 10 of them, I think. 11, I think counting Sank Heart. Yeah, no, because I don't think we've gotten any piece of heart fills. Oh, the hook shot in Swamp. That's not fun. Vulajin not happy to see that.
Well, Vulajin can finish up the dungeon, though.
Yeah,
There's
it means
that.
it's a single dip into Swamp, but man, is that aggravating. Fantallis will be joining him in Swamp. He will have the same somewhat frustrating find.
Yeah, not a vanilla hookshot, unfortunately. Vanilla would be in the big chest, so as we like to call it, French vanilla.
Now, there is one item, because of the pod check that Fantallis did do, there's one item he'll be able to check in this trip that Vulajin won't, and that's that big chest right there. Whether or not that ends up being really important has yet to be seen. Also, apparently I missed the validation era was the first chest in Swamp. Nice bomb strats on the penguins down by Wulfy.
It's one of my personal favorite approaches for taking care of those guys. Nice and flashy.
Pod's second item was also another small key. The second item in Swamp Brother was another Pod small key, so that's 2 total for the runners now. There's a third one that Vulajin just picked up.
Getting a small sense of breadcrumbs on that. I think the game wants him to go to pod.
Vulajin was hoping to not find more keys, I think, for that right this second. There's another key to Turtle Rock. So Wulfy has checked the entirety of right side, and based on looking at his tracker, he hasn't found much for his efforts. And just a piece of heart in the pod big chest. To answer Stacks Machine's question in the comments, Fire Rod is on the Smiths, the Hammersmiths. Vulajin fighting Argus, taking a lot of damage very early.
Yeah, that can be a nasty fight with Master Sword. Not the worst. At least they don't have to do menu strats with the hammer.
True. And with Green Mail as well, this is technically a vanilla fight against Argus. The problem is that Argus hurts a lot even on Green Mail. Gonna down the blue potion just to be safe. Argus will now take his last stand. And Fantallis also obviously could not flood the key in this particular instance.
Vulajin go with the silver arrow strat. Interesting approach.
And Swamp was also a crystal.
Yep, so we're getting down on possibilities for that fourth pendant. Or third pendant.
Wulfy just found another full heart container. Now have we picked them all up?
He's gonna have an interesting time taking on Cold Stare. Does still have his blue goo. But with Master Sword, that is a nasty fight.
Yep. Vulajin's gonna route his way over to Pod from the looks of it. Now, Cold Stare on contact, I think, does in green mail 4 or 5 hearts. So yeah, not even gonna chance. They're just gonna get the fire rod out and immediately start cooking Cold Stare. Got 2 of them.
Toasty.
You know, if Cold Stare was a marshmallow, he'd probably taste delicious, but he's definitely not.
I don't like my marshmallows to have eyes. Personally.
No one does.
T-Rock Small Key and a crystal.
So, if Wolfie goes to Pod, he'll have all of the items necessary to get through Turtle Rock. He just needs to find a King of Samaria. So it looks like Vulajin's giving us a Dark Death Mountain check. There's at least a few items over here that'd be worth grabbing. May even consider just grabbing the blue mail to round out the health that he's picked up.
Vulajin finds some literacy.
That is our entrance to Desert. So that dungeon can finally be taken care of in its entirety as well. They have most of what they need to finish these remaining dungeons. It's just the question of, do they have to finish Desert, Turtle Rock, Mire? Which one of them is not which one of them is the pendant? Is what we really don't know.
Well, we did just find out that Turtle Rock will require bombos, so that's going to be a little bit of hunting if they need to go there.
Yep, that is now off the table as a location that we can go to. Hookshot Cave coming up for Vulajin.
And Wolfie making the swamp play, as fantallis is about to finish it up.
Vulajin found another Turtle Rock small key. I believe we know the location of all of those now.
Not gonna go grab the blue tunic. Interesting.
That is interesting. It would not take him much time, and frankly, it would just save him a bit of grief. Looks like he also did not want to go to Sanctuary. I think he was planning to go to Ice Palace. Or just to Desert, but that's also... He can't do Desert. And check Bombo's tablet. Now I see why he's going this way.
Yeah, Vulajin's got a couple options for where to head.
Fantallis is trying to finish off Argus with silvers as well. Gets the hit. Math Girl is clearing out thieves, so she did get that big key in Skull.
Yep, and we haven't seen what Sahasrarla has, even though Fantallis grabbed the green pendant, hasn't returned it yet.
Yeah, I don't think he did turn it in on the way to Pod, did he? He had the option. Bombos has a Myers small key that is basically a dud. Gotta check Agina first. Looks like Fantallis is gonna get his Pyramid Crystal check because he has not done this yet. And from there, he's thinking.
Is he going up to Catfish?
It's looking like it. Gonna check the pyramid first. Maybe even check tower if he hasn't done that yet, which, no, he has not done that yet. He would have a shield. Vulajin says his prayers and enters desert, hopefully to clear it out in its full.
And hopefully to be rewarded for doing so.
I think that's kind of interesting here is it's kind of hard to tell who's... It's hard to tell who's ahead right now.
Vulajin finding that red cane gets him a little more edge, though. And a blue cane. Desert is just full of cane.
Apparently.
So the blue cane not as useful to our runners. Red cane will absolutely be required. Whether it's for T-Rock or Meyer.
Vulajin got another pod small key as well, and found Bombos on the torch.
So yes, Desert is a very important play right now.
Quite important.
Watch it be a pendant.
It would be like that. But at the same time, that makes you wonder whether something's on pedestal, because those were three very easy to access pendants.
That is true.
At this rate, though, it could only be Meyer, Big Key, and the Flute, I believe, to force it. Or Ether, if that's what we need to enter Meyer.
Yeah, we don't have anyone quite in go mode, but we are getting somewhat close to no mode.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to knowing everything that remains to be known. Fantallis looks like he is finally going to get his Titan's Mitts. Having read the mushroom in along the way. He's probably both relieved and a little unhappy to see that he had those. Vulajin coming up to the Lambos here. Silver Arrow should make quick work of these, if your aim is true.
And your timing.
Yes, indeed. Sadly, one of those was off for Vulajin.
Giving a couple
And we
rage
know-
flashes.
We also know from a check by Fantallis that, because he has the map to desert, that desert is indeed a crystal.
So that means our last pendant is either Meyer or T-Rock.
It's just the question of which. That flute's looking all the more problematic as time goes on.
Yeah, it's very unlikely in Keysanity, but it is always possible to have a fluteless seed.
It is entirely possible. So I guess Vulajin's going to be doing his Dark Death Mountain check, but because he has not been to Pod for the Ice Rod, and has not done Smiths for the Fire Rod, he can't actually finish the dungeon.
Yeah, I might be thinking that one or both are going to be in Turtle Rock, which happens more often than you really want it to.
Now, chat asked an interesting question here. Which would be worse to be a pendant right now, Mire or T-Rock? I think in this instance, it's worse for Turtle Rock to be the pendant because that means you have to find the flutes to get into Mire.
Yeah, if Turtle Rock has the pendant, that makes the possibility of flute on pedestal, and that's always painful. Hilarious for us, but painful for the runners.
Yes, very much so. Because Wolfie's got some of the pieces to T-Rock. He just needs to scramble the rest of them together. And yeah, unfortunately, since I saw another map check there, we don't know what either Mire or T-Rock is. No one's found a map for either dungeon yet. It's another GT key. We do still have Pod to look into as well. There were a few items that we weren't able to get there.
Yep, especially the one that's on Helmosaur.
So Fantallis is going to do his next logical play, which is Desert. Oh, Wolfie does have a map to Turtle Rock. It's our last crystal. I believe if I saw that correctly, that was Crystal 7 on T-Rock. Which means we don't need any more items.
I believe you're right.
We just need another Pod small key, I believe, to finish. Well, we don't need that key, technically. Although the Ice Rod is in there. You need at least a couple keys, but you need enough keys to finish Pod, basically. Since Bellmaker asks, the Ice Rod is in Pod. Bit of a complicated one, that.
Vulajin after playing a little safe in that room. Down to just 2 hearts and still on green tunic. Even though that blue one was right there.
I'm very surprised no one has picked up that tunic. Yes, you have double-digit heart count, but at least one layer of armor is typically a nice safety. And yet no one has picked it up. So at this point, Fantallis has gotten his rods and is going to go take out the worms. And Math Girl, having checked the other item that was left in Aga Tower, has to go make her next decision as to where to go. Vulajin has made his way to Mimic Cave.
Yep, a pretty easy spot if you know how to manipulate the mimics just right. And there's a blue tunic. Vulajin is getting better armor whether he wants it or not.
Well, that means he doesn't have to get the armor in Hookshot Cave unless he'd really like to have red mail, which, with this much health, you don't really need red mail.
No, the jump from blue to red is not nearly as important as the jump from green to blue.
So it looks like Math Girl's gonna get her mitts pretty soon. Very trollish small key to the skull in that Turtle Rock room.
going to see back-to-back fights over in Desert between Fantallis and Wulfy.
Fantallis gets the triple arrow kill. And Vulajin is going to go check Laser Bridge. Now, this was technically out of sequence until we found that cane of Burna, amusingly. And at 3 hearts, he is not going to take any risks with these lasers.
Absolutely not.
Because it's very possible to die while checking Laser Bridge, especially if you do laser skips. Which a lot of our runners do know how to do. Looks like he's going to just use the cane for the initial path, though.
Makes sense. I believe he still has the green potion.
Yes, they did get a green potion in Ice. No, that's an Ice Palace.
Ooh, no, you are right. You are right.
Only Wulfy has that. Gets it. Gets a map to Eastern. And is now going to very sadly take a trip out of Turtle Rock. Wulfy gonna go kill his Lambos. Misses shot number 2 by a hair, but will otherwise have a fairly quick fight.
Oh, I get it, by hair, because he's the super bunny. I get it.
That was not the intention, but I will take it. Looks like we're getting that green pendant check.
Just a 20.
That's what you'd come to expect at this point. And Fantallis does appear to have 4 pod small keys, so he is going to go clear out the remainder of pod. Sadly for him, the item that is evading him is the fire rod on the smiths. He needs that for 2 of his remaining dungeons. 3 if you want to be technical with ice, but ice palace can be cleared with just bombos.
Although Vulajin is about to get his fire rod.
And puts him 1 step closer to finishing this puzzle. He needs another pod's small key and the ice rod to finish his run.
I have a feeling Wulfy is going to head up to T-Rock and hit the same wall at the end without that ice rod.
Yeah, he will. Pod having it is not ideal, although for Wulfy, this does mean that when he does check all of T-Rock, he'll go straight to Pod, and as soon as he finds that ice rod, he will be in go mode. Although I want to say he is still short a pod key, and I'm trying to figure out which pod key these runners are missing, because I know Fantallis has 4. Because he used 1 already, and he's got 3 right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that last one was.
We'll know before too long, as all the runners are going to start going to places that no one else went. Or at least that they haven't gone. Someone else went there. It looks like Math Girl's also taking the early pod dip. Oh, there's another pod.
Oh, vanilla.
Pod. So I guess that means that even if they have the 3 keys, anybody who comes into pod is going to be able to clear it out.
Yeah, that's a...
Though...
I was going to say that is a recent change in terms of that small key being there. It is possible for a small key rather, to be hidden behind a small key door for that dungeon. Sort of a 1-to-1 logic that the game now allows.
Yeah, Fantallis sadly took a death there. And because this is his 5th key, he can open the front door now. So not the worst time loss. It would have been a lot worse if he did not get that 5th key. So Wolfie is starting his trek into T-Rock. Did he check the Fire Rod side? Because I actually didn't see it.
He did. Didn't appear to be anything of note.
Yeah, there's not too much the runners would be asking for at this point, save for probably a temperate sword.
Yeah, good point in chat. Did anyone other than fantallis dig up the key? Because there was a pipe key at dig
That
spot.
is a good point. I believe Math Girl dug up that key. I remember seeing someone else get to that key.
Yeah, our two runners on the bottom race don't even have the shovel. And since we are over an hour in, I will remind people that this is two separate races happening at the same time. So fantallis is against Math Girl, Vulajin is against Wulfy.
I do believe that shovel was in pod, too. But I don't actually remember.
Ooh, Wulfy checking the middle chest.
He has all 4 keys, I believe. Because the last one was on Cold Stare.
I believe so.
Oh yeah, shovel was in blind chest. Thank you, Chad. I was trying to remember. Now, one kind of interesting thing, though, is the fact that there's a bail upgrade in Turtle Rock means anybody who saves Turtle Rock for last on this seed, which at this point I think only fantallis is likely to have that happen, they might not get that mail upgrade.
That is true. Our runners might end up in go mode, fantallis namely. And when you're in that state, you're not looking at chests at all. Like you don't care. You just want to get through. And you can leave some good stuff behind when you're doing that.
At this point, the only thing we know he's would be leaving behind that's of actual worth is the mail upgrade. We didn't find any swords from the checks that either Wulfy or Vulajin has been doing here. Wulfy, though, is going to get his blue mail.
And fantallis is going to get a Helmasaur fight out of the way. Silver arrow to the skull.
Yep, and that's going to clear out all of pod for fantallis. He's got nothing left to worry about in this dungeon. And gets an arrow expansion, I believe, as his prize. Vulajin hitting up ice now. It's kind of interesting how the bottom race knows where Fire Rod is and is looking for ice, while the top race knows where ice is and is looking for Fire Rod.
If only they could work together, that would be cheating.
Yes, it would be. There are some interesting takes on where you could do, like, 2 people working together versus 2 other people working together, but you're otherwise never going to see that.
Yeah, I have even seen a hack of this game where 2 people actually play co-op, sharing items and resources and all that. Link to the Past has been modified every which way at this point.
It is a very modified game. Mathgirl trying to pause buffer, or I guess in this case select buffer, her hammer jump. I think
Quite working.
She was a little high again.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that is probably the hardest bomb jump in the game. It's probably well agreed at this point.
Yeah, it is not a very friendly bomb jump. You can find some very good setups for it if you look around, but actually making it work is another thing entirely. It takes a bit of practice. Math Girl did get her bomb jump this time. As Wulfy, I think he's going to check a couple of the small locations he has left to check up on Death Mountain. because he has not checked Ether Tablet. No one has. And Burna Spike Cave is a mystery still, too.
Yeah, and he's a bit adverse to checking pod without all the keys that he needs.
Yeah. And not having finished pod, he doesn't have that shovel for the extra key that he would normally be looking for. So Math Girl is going to leave pod. And she's got a lot of places she can go still. A lot she can still check. And I think this is going to be one of the few times we will probably see Burna Spike Cave done without any invincibility items.
I mean, Wolfie could throw in Burna, but if you don't have to, why bother?
Nope, when you have this much health, just... I can't feel my feet is basically the response. And Tal's going for the Ice Palace Bomb jump. Gets it very quickly. Oh, it was a little... I think the positioning looked correct. I think he was just a little too far.
Yeah, that's a tricky bomb jump. That's one I still can't get consistently.
Thankfully, he got it that time. He was running out of the hearts necessary to even attempt that more.
Yeah, it could be a little brutal on you if you can't get it quickly.
Wolfie's still very hesitant to go to pod without that remaining key. I think he's going to go clear out Thieves Town now. And that was really the only leg up he had on Vulajin at this point, because Vulajin is going to clear out Ice and they'll be neck and neck once again. Vulajin did miss his bomb jump, though, which means he's now going to have to take a bit of a trek if he wants to check every single chest. It's not the worst thing in the world, but this is a little bit of inconvenient routing. So, Math Girl checking the Smith here is going to get her Fire Rod pretty soon. She'll have both the components for Turtle Rock's boss.
Yep, from there just needs to head to Desert. Once she finds that big key, that'll get her the canes.
Vulajin's going to be taking on Cold Stare pretty soon here. He has the option to just melt the ice around Cold Stare with bombos, which will only take up a quarter of his magic tank, and he can fling the remainder as fire rod shots. Will still be a bit of a tricky fight. Blue Mail at least makes Cold Stare a little less painful to take damage from.
Fantallis, meanwhile, having to bombos everything to get by, still hasn't visited the Smiths.
Yep. And that means he needs to make sure he has at least a quarter tank of magic left by the time he gets to Cold Stare, or he will not be able to fight Cold Stare at all. There is, thankfully, a nice little quarter refill right before the boss.
Yeah, I believe that gives you just enough for a bombos charge.
Yeah. So, Wolfie gonna get his shovel and go kill Blind. And Vulajin gonna down the green potion he got in the dungeon to fling more fire at Cold Stare.
When all you got is a Master Sword, that's a pretty smart move.
Yeah, and he is done with the dungeon and gets the fourth key to Turtle Rock that he was missing. Wolfie and Math Girl both dealing with Blind currently. Both fights aren't going too bad, though. It looks like Math Girl's is a little less controlled. And she did
Still got it taken care of.
Yep. One more hit from a head there, and I believe she was dead. So good on her for that. So, Vulajin and Wulfy are kind of in the same boat now. Where is the ice rod? They are even on dungeon checks. They are even on everything else.
Yep, but Vulajin is physically closer and looks like he is going to head the right way. Going into pod.
And he is indeed making the play on pod. Now, Wulfy's gonna go check that shovel real quick, so he'll get that extra pod small key. And Vulajin will get circumstantially lucky and find the one he would need if he was not going to be in go mode when he found that ice rod. So if I had to guess, Vulajin is going to be in go mode not too much earlier than Wulfy. Like, they'll be probably about a minute or so apart. They will be a close race to watch. Execution will make all the difference.
Absolutely. There's still just enough room for, making misroutes, doubting yourself. Just enough space for things to get a little confusing and a little interesting.
Now, it'll be interesting to see if Vulajin ends up checking any of the other chests that were still left here, because there's still we'd love to get another sword upgrade if we could. Fantallis down to his Cold Stare fight is down to 2 bosses that he needs Fire Rod to kill.
Ooh, Vulajin going to... Oh, no. Got the big key to Swamp. This is the first time Vulajin's been in pod.
It's the first time Wulfy's been in it, too. The top runners have been in here for an early check. The other 2 have not. Wulfy is going to turn in his pendant first, yet he has very small monetary reward. So I imagine Fantallis at this point is wondering where the Fire Rod is, and based on the fact that he went back to town, he is having his doubts to it being within Turtle Rock. His doubts would be correct. He's followed the seed pretty well up to this point in time.
Yep, it looks like he's going to follow it correctly a little bit further.
The really good thing is he'll be able to skip the entirety of T-Rock's chests, but like I said before, that means skipping out on the mail upgrade in Mimic.
Yeah, and when you get to Ganon with just green mail, that's a very tricky spot to be in.
I missed what happened there with Wulfy.
Wulfy is having some
he's
hardware
having
issues.
technical trouble.
Ooh.
That means we may have other problems. How much progress could he have potentially lost? Let's find out, I guess. I think he just lost Thieves' Town, that was it, thankfully, but that is a big time sink. Vulajin is now in go mode. He has found his ice rod. Although I don't think he realizes it yet. Or he's just gonna check these chests real fast and then mirror back to the front. No, he totally doesn't realize he's in go mode. Yeah, no, definitely does not realize he's in go mode.
Well, that might be good news for Wulfy. He has a bit of ground to make up from that hiccup.
Yeah, that was a very, very bad time for him. I suppose there were worse times for him to have tech issues, but this was not good for him.
Absolutely not.
Especially in a race like this, which is currently dictating whether or not you can still potentially make bracket stage. It's not impossible for him to get back. Like, the fact that Vulajin is still checking stuff here and not realizing he's in go mode gives Wulfy a little bit of hope. Although I guess at the same time, Vulajin does not know that Turtle Rock is a crystal. Wulfy does.
That is true. That is true.
But
So
now he
Vulajin might
does
be.
know.
Ah, never mind.
Now he knows he's in go mode. And can open the front door.
And Wulfy knows that he needs to come back and grab this shovel, but he also knows that he doesn't have to fight blind again, so not gonna bother.
Nope, he'll just grab the shovel and leave. Still a loss of like 2 or 3 minutes, though. Now, Wulfy, as soon as he gets the ice rod, will probably mirror right back to the entrance. Fantallis dealing with Moth, one of the few fights he has left. And I meant to mention he also is in go mode because he got that. He found his fire rod. And his tracker doesn't indicate. He should have Kana Samaria. He went in the desert and checked that right side fully. He pauses again, we'll know for sure. But Wulfy gonna grab his key, gonna go back to pod, and try to keep up with Vulajin here best he can.
Yeah, he grabbed the grotto key. Not sure where he's heading for now. I guess just taking that.
He's using
Portal?
that portal as an easy way to just get right to pod.
Yeah, probably a little faster than using the one in that neighborhood. Considering our runners still don't have flutes.
Nope.
And they are in go mode without going to Mire. This might actually be a fluteless seed.
Yeah, they might find it in GT, although the only reason to check any chest in GT is for a sword upgrade. It's really the only thing any of the runners want at this point. Maybe magic powder, but that's not really that important. Almost sword down for Vulajin, so he's got just T-Rock left. Wulfy just entering pod. And again, it's his first visit, so he's got a lot of checks to do. And after that small issue he had, he's going to be trying to hustle to make up for lost time.
Yeah, Vulajin and Fantallis are both in go mode.
Yeah, both of our left runners are currently in go mode. Wulfy will be as soon as he gets the ice rod within Palace of Darkness. Because, yeah, Fantallis should have Kana Samaria. Yeah, there it is. It's just not on his tracker. So Fantallis is just going to probably skip every single chest in this dungeon and only get what's on Trinex.
Which, hey, that's sufficient, but blue mail.
Yeah, blue mail. And he also needs to dodge 8 damage chain chomps, or is it 6? Either way, I think now they're going to kill him no matter what, so...
It's more damage than you ever want to see.
Yeah. Thankfully, he can just dash straight through. Damn, does it hurt. And that does mean, too, if Fantallis takes an unfortunate death in T-Rock, he will lose a little bit of time. Although, Math Girl is a good ways behind him in terms of getting progression and finishing out dungeons. So it's not a major concern for him. It'd be more concerning if Vulajin took a death within T-Rock.
And yes, for those asking in chat, all 4 of these runners are 1 and 1. So the winners will be in a 2-1 position, strong spot to keep things going. The losers, unfortunately, will be 1 and 2, and that basically knocks them out of the bracket.
Yeah, Wolfie, in the effort to check every single chest he can in the dungeon, is gonna still take a little bit longer here to get his ice rod, but he will be fast approaching it as soon as he gets to the back.
And Math Girl having to go around. Either she missed the hookshot key. Yep, that was all it was.
Well, the
Yeah,
hookshot was in the back part of the dungeon, so...
Yeah, so flooding would not have been possible.
Yeah. And Tao's gonna go through this corridor and head towards the giant turtle. Vulajin not too far behind him. And Wolfie trying to make as fast pace as he can to get to this ice rod. He is a Turtle Rock run to Trinex behind his opponent. That is go mode. He's gonna grab this and probably go this way just because it's faster. Now, fantallis, I think, is going to die in a single hit.
Does Wolfie realize he's in go mode? Is he doing the same thing Vulajin did?
Maybe not. Oh, because he doesn't know if Pod's a crystal. Except, yeah, no, he's not. He didn't talk to the bomb bender. He's without the knowledge of this dungeon.
Ah.
But the map to Pod was in this dungeon. He just found it, actually, in the vanilla big chest location. Fantallis is out of magic, but has a potion still. But it's down to 3 hearts still. That's what he came in with.
It's a very high skill fight, though. Using that hammer, dodging everything, dealing with ice on the floor.
Oh, Vulajin just had a very major setback. I think he ran out of magic fighting Trinex and mirrored back to the start of the dungeon.
Yep, because he was in go mode, so it didn't even take those safeties. Fantallis clears the Trinex fight with 3 hearts and green mail.
And his reward
Quite
with
the
half
show.
magic. Okay, it's not half magic. It's another pod key, actually. So all Fantallis has left to do now is gun it up GT and kill Ganon when he's done with it.
Yeah, although it is interesting to note, the game expects you to get all the small keys for a dungeon to clear it, so it was expecting you to go clear T-Rock and then deal with Pod.
Yeah, but because of the hammer jump and the ability to skip the front entrance, that last key was technically not necessary.
Fantallis is going to go grab the blue tunic, because just took one look at those enemies on the way to Ganon's tower. Was like,
I
no.
believe those are Lionels. And yeah, they hurt, and he can't actually dash through them currently with his current sword level. The Master Sword's actually not enough to damage the Lionels. You need at least tempered level damage, which would require a spin.
Vulajin making his way back, but 1 heart, little precarious position.
Yeah, 1 heart, and the fact that, again, he has not gotten that safety. This time he looks like he's going for it, but if he dies on the way, he'll have to go back to the start of the dungeon again. Okay, so now I'm a little confused, though, because it looks like Vulajin opened this cave and didn't go in it?
Maybe.
Because he did end up back at the beginning of the dungeon. He was right behind Fantallis for a while there. Maybe he died trying to get into the cave, and that's why he ended up getting back to the start.
I don't know, 4 races, 4 runs all happening at once, a little tricky to keep good eyes on everything.
Someone in chat mentioned he ran out of magic. That still confuses me, though. Okay, so he opened the cave and he didn't go in it. That is a little confusing, I guess.
Well, no matter. He's made it to Trinex with full magic this time.
Yep.
Hopefully that'll be enough to get by.
Not if he misses his hammer strikes, and I think that's what's causing him problems. He's not used to fighting Trinex with a hammer.
It's not something you do every day.
Nope, and with the number of times he's missed with his Ice Rod, he is not going to have enough magic again. And he's going to die. He's got 2 hearts left.
Ooh.
So Wolfie can still catch up. Despite that setback, he can still catch up. No, Cyclone, we do not know what Medallion Meyer needs, and I don't think we will ever know.
Fantallis, meanwhile.
Yeah,
Trying the arrows, trying the pots, trying anything to get rid of those Stalfos.
yeah.
The gauntlet has that name for a reason.
Vulajin going to Trinex with 6.5 hearts. The fact that he's died multiple times here just means that he's only coming back with like 8 or 9 hearts each time. And without magic powder, he can't get his health back at this point in the dungeon. And it's more or less impossible for him to leave for a safety potion. Trying to use Master Sword, but it's kinda... You cut it close using the Master Sword to kill Trinex, because it takes like 8 to 10 hits to kill it. Each head.
He has had luck so far, but that one Fire Rod miss
might be too much, which is why he's switching to the hammer. I don't think that hit registered either. Down to 2 hearts again, too. Yeah, Ice Head's still around. That was his last shot. Gets the hit, but will he survive?
Oh! Vulajin getting knocked down.
That ice.
Tough match.
So Math Girl did something slightly correct here. It is a little known thing. You can kill the penguins in Ice Palace with Quake, but only if they're not jumping. Inconveniently, when she used Quake, all the penguins were jumping.
Yep, chat pressing F to pay respects. It was a noble fight. Vulajin just couldn't quite close the deal.
Wolfie trying to catch up now fast as he can. It's only a couple minutes separating the two of these runners now. And I missed this too. I think Fantallis died on the way up tower. He's back on the floor below Gauntlet.
Vulajin moving over to take care of the ice head first. This is personally how I approach trying having that ice on the ground to be really annoying and really mess up your flow.
The ice is significantly more hindering when you have to use hammer. Not to mention, it's faster to kill the fire head first, but some people just hate the ice head and want it out of the way. Unfortunately, he missed too many shots again with his rods. So Wolfie's time loss, he's more or less caught up now.
Yeah, if Wolfie can swing that first Trinex kill, might actually surpass Vulajin depending on how the boss decides to act to him.
Does Wolfie still have any potions? Because that could also make a difference.
That is a good question.
Fantallis taking out Lambo's going up to the next floor.
Vulajin gets the ice head gone.
Wolfie taking the behind approach on Trinex's Firehead. Kills it pretty fast. Has the ice to deal with on the ice head, but is in a
Vulajin
very...
knocked down again. This could be Wolfie's catch-up time, right here.
Yeah, it looks like it. Wolfie, I think, only needs a couple more hits with just the fire rod even to kill that head. Nope, one more hammer strike should do it. Yep. So Wolfie down the last phase of Trinex now. And I think he's about to overtake Vulajin if he doesn't die to the last phase here. It will take a few hits, but I think one more hammer strike and yeah, he's done.
Wow, so Wolfie taking the lead in that race. Despite the technical hiccups.
His execution has caught him up entirely because he has probably practiced this fight on Trinex a few times. Vulajin really trying to focus and just get through this multi-headed turtle. Fantallis has been checking the chests at the top of the tower for a sword. No luck so far. And is now onto Trolldorm 2.
Yeah, at this point, he's probably hoping the ultimate chest has the ultimate prize, which would just be a tempered sword in this case.
The ultimate chest has paid out in runs before. Unfortunately, he did miss. He did use a sword slash on the Master Sword instead of a spin, so Moldorm got to his super speedy panic phase.
Vulajin taking another knockout.
Compass to Misery Mire invalidation, and yeah, Vulajin really struggling here against Trinex. Wolfie gonna start his way up the tower. Fantallis now at the top of the tower dealing with Aghanim.
Yeah, we'll point out that in the maze room that Vulajin was just in, with all the up and down platforms, there are a few pots that contain hearts. So there are a few small heals that are available. You kind of have to go out of your way for them, but they are there.
Unfortunately, I think the main issue Vulajin is having is his magic reserve.
Yeah, unfortunately, you won't find half magic in a pot.
No, and we didn't find it at all this seed either. Wonder where it was.
Probably Ganon's tower at this rate.
Yes,
Anyway.
very, very likely. It's either that or Mire. Mire's been untouched.
Anyway, Fantallis defeats Aghanim and gets the plot flute.
I think Vulajin ran out of magic again. Wolfie going through Gauntlet with his Master Sword, and Fantallis has started his Ganon fight with Master Sword. Master Sword Ganon is a little more difficult than most Ganon fights, and it's typically why you want Tempered Sword. You have to use Master Sword spins to damage Ganon in any sword capacity with a Master Sword. It will take 12 spins to progress any phase, and this is why you want Tempered, because you can just slice Ganon instead, and it speeds up the fight by a good couple of minutes typically.
Yep, and a faster Ganon fight is a safer Ganon fight because all of his attacks do a good chunk of damage. Even if you have red mail, it's a fair bit.
Yeah, I think with red mail, the fire bats still do like 2 damage, and Ganon landing on you does like 3 or 4. Ganon hugs are very lethal.
Yes, do not hug the pig. This has been a public service announcement from your friends at Speed Gaming.
Math Girl's making her way through the last of Ice Palace meanwhile. Vulajin, I think, is really close now. He just has to get rid of that fire head. Oh, he dies to Trinex again. Head lash. Oh, and Fantallis died to Ganon.
Even with all these hearts, this has been a brutal end of the seed.
Now, I would rack on Fantallis for not getting the safety mail, but he got the safety mail. He didn't get the other mail.
And of course, our runners don't know where their opponents stand in terms of completing their run, so Fantallis could easily go get a couple safety potions, but that takes time, and he doesn't know if he has the time.
Yeah. Wulfy, meanwhile, is actually getting close to potentially being the first runner of all these to finish the race. Chooses not to open validation chest, though. Which, in a race setting like this, typically, if you haven't seen your opponent done and you're afraid they're close, you'll sometimes skip that chest just because it's not time you want to spend. That time difference can make a race. Vulajin's still trying to get through Trinex. And he's out of magic again. Oh no, he's got one more shot. Did he get it this time?
Oh! I think he had the head.
I think he did have the head, but once again, Trinex got him before the head could die. And phases progressed. Wulfy's down with Aga, and Fantallis died to Ganon again.
Yeah, Wulfy getting picked up by the plot flute. I will point out that this is a fluteless seed, and he just fluted out. Video games.
I believe another fun fact is that counts towards your times fluted if, I forget if the cred still shows that.
It does. I have had a fluteless seed, and at the very end it said, times fluted, 1. So that does legitimately count.
It also is cheating, because the bird's not supposed to be able to come into the Dark World.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions about that flute activation that I'm not going to ask any longer.
Yep. Now, something else to note, too, with this particular Ganon fight, we did not find the cape. If the runners had found the cape, they would consider using it for this phase of the fight. Wulfy is probably going to try to use the cane here. The reason this doesn't work is you can't sword spin when you're using the cape. There's just too much lag, it eats your inputs, you can't do it. So it makes this fight a lot harder than it really needs to be, and it's why Fantallis has been struggling so much against it. Math Girl, I think, taking the death to Cold Stare, but has a fairy, and I assume that means she probably picked up the net, too.
Yep, she did, and she made a quick stop to the fairy fountain in ice. I believe every dungeon has a room with fairies that you can pick up. I'm not positive where they all are, but I'm pretty sure every dungeon has one.
Vulajin once again having to take a death to Trinex, running out of magic. Nice little positional use of his sword and hook shot there by Wulfy. That was a very nice iteration of damage. He's progressed Ganon to phase 3, but he still has to be careful about these hovering bats and Ganon's eventual teleport locations.
Math Girl took another death on the Cold Stare fight, but had another fairy. And looks like she should get that wrapped up pretty soon.
Fantallis, meanwhile, almost dead again to Ganon, but is on phase 3. I believe one more hit from anything at this point will kill him, so he needs to be really careful. Wulfy has progressed to phase 4 of the fight. He's going to kill Ganon with the silver arrows.
Gets a nice double in. Ooh, just misses that silver, but that one will do it.
Yep, Wulfy has finished. And Vulajin finally gets through the first form of Trinex.
That turtle just completely changed the pace of this race.
It changed the entire race, and Vulajin might die again. Oh no!
Oh, that hurts so bad.
Wulfy has done with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 39 seconds, so just under sub 2.
And Fantallis is very close to finishing as well.
And Vulajin has decided that, given he has died to Trinex this many times, he has forfeited.
Very sad finish. Always sad to see a forfeit. Trinex was just not cooperating, not playing nicely at all. And Fantallis finishes up with their race, coming in second overall with an official SRL time of 2 hours and 41 seconds. Just shy of a sub 2.
Math Girl, however, forfeited soon after seeing that time, so this race has concluded.
Yep, we will start to bring our runners in for post-race interviews in just a moment.
That bottom race ended up way closer than I think anyone was expecting.
And we were expecting a close race at many points. But between Wulfy having the technical issues and then Vulajin having the Trinex issues, kept going back and forth. Very curious to see how our runners feel about that.
All right, I see both Wulfy and Vulajin in some of the rooms, along with Fantallis.
Yep,
Just need to be pulled in. All right, we are now joined by Fantallis, Vulajin, and Wulfy. GG to all three of you on this particular seed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we have been asked by several people in chat to give you, Vulajin, all of the virtual hugs that we can, because that Trinex fight.
I'm gonna pop out after just one question, but I just wanted to ask, when I got to Turtle Rock, was I ahead of anyone else?
Fantallis was ahead of you, not by much. And you were ahead of Wulfy, but because Wulfy had tech issues in race, he had to redo a small portion of what he did. It only cost him like 3-5 minutes, but it was still a bit.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I am gonna practice Trinex next week. But yeah. Congrats, Wolfie. GG, dude.
GG.
Hello.
We are
Hello,
also
we
now
have-
joined by Math Girl now. There.
How is everybody?
Well, that was quite the seed to everybody, from the looks of it. Despite what looks like a very good time, I think everyone had a few things to say to that.
That was a pretty nasty seed, I gotta say.
Well, anytime you find a hook shot in swamp, it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
The game was convenient with at least a few of the items, but you were very funneled early. There was not a lot of places you could go, and you got all the hearts, but males were kind of in weird places.
Did
Yeah.
anyone find anything that wasn't Master Sword? Like,
Nope, no one found another sword.
where is? I'm so.
They're probably in Ganon's
I guess that
basement.
means it's not on Ped either.
Yeah, probably.
Nope, explosions. There's bombs on pedestals, so yeah, no, we don't know where the swords are.
Or they could be in. They could have been in Meyer. Nobody picked up a
Meyer.
flute.
Yeah, Meyer,
true.
GT. Those are like the two locations swords can be.
I could have sworn the bomb shop guy told me that Meyer was a crystal. Maybe I misread him, but
No,
Yeah,
I think it was Skullwoods and Pot, if I'm not mistaken.
It was, yeah. What was interesting too for most of us watching this stream is both Wulfy and Vulajin, you were both very close to go mode at the same time. And the thing we forgot is that you did not know that Pod was a crystal. Vulajin did not know that Turtle Rock was a crystal.
Oh dear.
So both of you ended up clearing more of Pod before actually setting off on your go mode.
Oh boy.
Because they had to check Vulajin went to check the map as soon as he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something. That Easter note too. My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of funny more than anything, I thought.
Yeah.
Like, here's your lamp.
Here's
okay,
your lamp.
Here's your boots. Okay.
Here's your
go
lamp,
get
here's your
key.
boots, go get your big key in the library.
Yep.
I think I'm more happy when Keysanity throws you around like that. I'm less excited when it does things like, you know, Mire big key in Mire, hookshot in swamp.
Like
Yeah.
the seed.
Things like that where it's even less likely for things to be vanilla. They end up still being vanilla.
Yeah.
We had
So
the big ice key and ice, and then we had the Hera hammer leading to Hera big key.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh yeah, and the small key on Moldorm.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of bizarre.
It was a pretty weird seed all around.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So one kind of interesting thing from when we were watching is when it came to the early breadcrumbs of the seed, fantallis followed them all to a T. He managed to find pretty much like any item the seed wanted him to have in the right order. Like for instance, most runners went up Death Mountain before going back to Eastern to get the mirror.
Oh really?
Yeah. And you also found the Thieves Town big key before dipping Thieves. A couple runners dipped
Yes.
Thieves prior.
Really? Wait.
But the big thing that especially changed the bottom race, Wolfie found Titan's mitts first.
Oh yeah, that was a big old hunt.
Yeah, those were not in a good place.
Where were they again?
Catfish.
Yeah, I got led to
Right.
Catfish because I could do the chests in Aghanim's Tower and the pyramid on the way.
Yeah,
And then on the
that's-
way, I also got a mushroom, which turned out to be pretty efficient as well.
Yeah, that routing for you ended up working out very efficiently in terms of getting that glove and just doing the entire route of checks.
Yeah, that did wind up being incredibly lucky.
Oh.
Going into Turtle Rock with the ice rod, I guess kind of a misplay.
You
I
and
figured
Vulajin
out.
both did that, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured it was just a lot of items. I didn't necessarily want to.
Fantallis held off, dead set that the fire rod was not in there, and sure enough, it wasn't. So he managed to blitz through all of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, like especially if, and that was my intention was, you know, do Ice Palace, see if it's in there, and then do the sort of big glove stuff in Village of Outcasts, because that always seems like if you haven't done that yet and you're running up to Turtle Rock hoping for a fire rod, I feel like you're probably going to get burned. No pun intended.
It makes perfect sense, though, and you are entirely correct on that. So I guess one thing I do want to ask real quick, what do you guys think of your execution that run?
About as good as it ever is, which is pretty much garbage tier.
Aw.
I'm gonna go repractice Master Sword Ganon.
Yeah, you died like 3-4 times to him.
Yeah, that was great. Oh man,
Well,
My
I mean, a
execution
bunch,
was probably, I think it was pretty good early game. Kind of deteriorated as the run wore on. It's kind of late here.
well, everyone
Yeah,
was having trouble with late game stuff. You know, Vulajin was having all of those battles with Trinex, and
He died to Trinex like 20 times.
yeah, it was brutal.
because he could not conserve his magic long enough to kill the heads. And 2 of the times where he did kill the heads, Triax's big head sniped him.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not finding Temper, not finding Butter, that made this run extremely difficult and very brutal to everybody.
No, just hammer full magic, green mail, try next fight is ridiculous.
Yeah, you didn't get the mail upgrade that was in Mimic Cave that the other 2 did when they checked it early.
There was also the one up on Floating Island.
Yeah, Fantallis grabbed that one on the way to GT.
Yeah, I was just like, forget this. This is not. I mean,
Probably
I
a
guess
good
it
thing-
worked out in the end.
It's probably a
because-
good thing you did too, or you would have probably fallen more times to Ganon.
Oh man, that was terrible.
Well, hey, it makes sense. I have not learned Master Sword Ganon yet. Probably should.
Yeah, my
it's-
Master Sword Ganon was slow, but at least it was first try. I forgot you can't charge up a spin with the Cane of Birna.
I was
Oh,
about to
yeah.
mention that you can't spin with the cane.
Would have been nice to have Cape.
Yeah, a lot of items you guys would have liked to have. In fact, like the 2 sword upgrades, the cape, the flute, the powder, all items you would have wanted to have, you didn't find them.
Well, you know, when I save and quit right before I did mushroom check, so when I saw it was just a heart container, I just hard reset
Yeah.
because of fake powder thing.
But yeah, another note, I think we found all those heart containers because Wolfie was up to 17 hearts by the end of that run.
Jeez. Probably the last few are in Ganon's tower.
Yeah, there was a lot of heart pieces scattered at that point.
True. Man. I always seem to get the fun seeds. By fun, I mean torturous.
All right, I
Well-
imagine you guys are probably a little exhausted mentally after that kind of annoying seed. Anything else you guys want to add before we sign off here?
No.
Not. I don't know. I thought it was pretty fun. Thanks, guys, for commentating.
Yeah.
It was
It's
a
our
pretty unique seed, and I'm glad that my console crash didn't cost me the race. That
Oh,
would be pretty
no.
painful.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
you crashed
Yeah.
thankfully only after doing Thieves Town, which you then could just get the shovel from and leave.
Yeah.
Still would rather it not have happened.
Oh,
Your
damn.
console crashed?
The
Jeez.
first time I've ever seen it crash, too.
Jeez, that's
Is it
rough,
like
dude.
an actual SNES or is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Oh,
a SNES.
That's kind of rare if I remember correctly. Huh. Well, GG to everybody.
Yep, GG all around.
GG.
I'm gonna head off.
Yeah, I gotta go to bed. This is-
Yeah, get your sleep and take your mental recovery time from that seed.
Yeah. Oh man.
Night, everybody.
All right, well, from us here, though, if you guys like what you saw from all 4 of these runners, make sure you give them a follow on Twitch to show your support. They would greatly appreciate it. We'll give a quick shout out once again to the trackers of this seed, Cyclone, GU, and Thalane. And once again, thanks to Fiesel for holding the tournament and doing all the restreams. Without him, none of this would be possible. And that will do it from us here. I have been Buckshot Boo, and with me is Upfen.
Yep,
And
there. Yeah,
we will
I will
see
ju-
you next time.
I will just say as we go, there I believe is a race on the Speed Gaming channel right now, and there will be plenty more races all throughout Friday afternoon and evening. So if you want to see more, feel free to return then.